superhero meets Robin Hood, philanthro-capitalist, ultra-marathoner, and visionary who sees opportunities and creates markets where none existed before. But there is stuff that I know that even Oprah doesn't know. I can tell you that Frank is a high school graduate. Now that may not seem like much to many of you here, but I know that it took 4 high schools in 4 years and a stellar 1.8 GPA for Frank to graduate. And then, with $50 in his pocket, and without the benefit of any further education, Frank left his native Indiana and set off for Florida in search of his professional highest calling. Now Frank creates real estate markets where others dare to tread. He has built spec homes, those are homes built without a buyer, valued in the tens of millions of dollars, shattering price records with each new project. I met Frank many years ago after attending a charity event just like this, where he was the keynote speaker. I decided at that event that I had to meet this guy. And after several years of stalking, eventually I did. And eventually became a board member of Frank's charity, the Sharing House Project. Through that, I had a life-changing experience, traveling to Haiti with Frank to see some of the 21 self-sufficient villages that have been built in Haiti in the last 11 years through Caring House. In fact, by the end of this year, the Caring House Project will have provided housing and self-sufficient existence to over 10,000 poor and homeless people in Haiti, and at no cost to any of them. You should have come. Frank is also involved in domestic homelessness, supporting both local and national organizations. Not long ago, he set out on his Survival to Thrival tour, traveling over 4,000 miles across the United States. Frank stopped at 16 homeless shelters and soup kitchens across the country in 23 days, sleeping under bridges, in parks, and in shelters. You know, there's a lot more that I can tell you from our many years together, but again, maybe I should let others do the work. So I hope you'll join me and watch a short video. This has happened, and he's had to leave. But what he did do is he had brought someone with him, and he has talked to him, and he is going to represent Frank. I'm sorry you won't be able to hear from Frank himself, but a man that he met on the street. So if you'll come forward.
I'm Jumpsuit Jimmy, and y'all look real nice today, especially the ladies. I met Frank when I was on the streets in Delray, and he was a great man to me. I was living underneath the I-95 overpass, and he was serving meals out of the back of a beat-up old van with a carrying kitchen. I was watching that video. He's got a lot of funny hairstyles, doesn't he? But anyway, he cared for me. And he took me off the street, and he put me in a hotel, and he helped me get my life back together again. You see, I'm the person that you went to McDonald's with when you were in high school. I'm the person that used to have a job and lost that job due to hard circumstances. And most people treat me like a phantom, but not Frank McKinney, not the people that carry me. And I'm forever grateful. But at the same time, Jumpsuit Jimmy could be any one of you sitting in the audience here. How many times have we driven by a Jumpsuit Jimmy and looked the other way? Probably if you're sitting in this room, that never happened, because you care for the homeless. There, but for the grace of God, go you, and you, and you, and you. And we've known many people that could have fit into that jumpsuit. Ezra mentioned this Survival to Thrival tour that we went on. We do a lot of work in Haiti. We've built 21 villages, provided shelter to over 10,000 desperately foreign homeless people. But what about the people in the United States that are suffering, especially after the last economic downturn? So we decided to pack up a van. One of my books came out, the TAP book, as Reverend Cahoon was talking about. And instead of going to bookstores and malls and touring, we decided to go to homeless shelters, soup kitchens, and food pantries. Many of these places that we went, unlike the Lewis Center, were ready to close their doors. Budget cuts, donation cuts were leaving these facilities hanging on by a thread. Where do you go if your homeless shelter or soup kitchen closes? These people have lost everything. And the folks that you work with have lost everything. The last thing we want them to lose is hope. And that's what's so wonderful about the Homeless Coalition and the Lewis Center. So, I did switch places, and oftentimes I would wear this very same jumpsuit. This was not an awareness tour, folks. If we are not aware of homelessness in this country, we are pathetic. This was an action tour. One reporter asked me, "So are you raising awareness for homelessness?" Give me a break. No. We are out here taking action and hoping to encourage others to do so. How do we do this? We swap places in each one of those 16 cities with a homeless person for the night. Why? Symbolically to show how close so many people that dress like all of us here, how close we are to becoming a victim and living on the street, being homeless. We all know somebody who doesn't sit there and talk to the street light. I met 5,000 homeless people on that tour. 80% of them were more lucid than I am. Coherent, educated, because of one bad decision, because of one bad parade. People dressing like us are this close to living on the street. That's why I swap places. That's why I went underneath the bridges. I went into homeless shelters, and I went to parks, city parks. And a homeless person who was showing the most sign of turning their life around, not according to me, but according to the executive director of the homeless shelter that we visited, was allowed to change places with me. We bought them new clothes. We put them in a nice hotel. We gave them a voucher for dinner. And the only requirement that I order room service. You deserve it because you are identified as the one who's turning your life around. I was not the example, the positive example. By the way, when I came to Florida with that $50 bill, my first night I slept not under a bridge, I slept under the Deerfield Beach Pier. So I know what it's like to sleep outside. At 18 it was fun though. It was nice to sleep outside. But when we took that homeless person, and he got to stand up and be recognized in front of his peers at the homeless shelter for turning his life around, and he got the VIP treatment, there was not a single bit of resentment in these shelters. They were genuinely happy for this man or woman to be able to be treated like a king or queen for the night. That symbolically was to represent how close so many people are. Those 10,000 people have gone through the Lewis Center doors. How close are they to getting their life back on track? If it's 80% of the people that come through, at least the ones I met, that are able to be employed, that the drug abuse and the alcohol problem was a result of the homeless problem, didn't cause it. What you're doing here in Palm Beach County, what you spent, Ezra and all the other folks, the Goodwill table over here, spent a decade trying to open a facility. You've got county commissioners and mayors that support this. Listen, in Palm Beach County, it's easier to open an adult bookstore than it is a homeless shelter. Because the adult bookstore is covered by the Constitution. In my backyard, it says homeless shelter. I can't tell you how gratifying it was to hear back in July 2012 that your efforts paid off. And we didn't have to put people in hotels, and there was a place for them to go. And if there's 10,000 coming in the door, that means 10,000 are going out the door. What are we doing with the ones that are going out the door? Pam, what are we doing with the ones that are going out the door? This is why you're here. We need your help. To help the jumpsuit Jimmy's the good. What a great ending, right? He came back. He's with it now. He's got his life together. How many people in here have practiced religion? It doesn't matter what kind. Okay. So for those of you who practice religion, there is a great biblical passage that happens to be a wonderful life mantra. Luke 12:48 says, "To whom much is entrusted, much is expected, much is required." For those of you who don't practice religion, there happens to be a great life mantra that is a biblical passage. To whom much is entrusted, much is expected. I'm not an evangelist, I'm not a pulpit pounder, but I can tell you, when I started living by that mantra, as taught to me by my mentor, things turned around in my personal life and my professional life. Look at the houses we build. So shouldn't I, as an uneducated 1.8 grade point average, 4 high schools in 4 years, my last high school was run by Benedictine monks. I went to class, I was taught by somebody who tied a big old rope together with a rope. I loved that school, but it didn't love me, asked me to leave. Maybe, just maybe, God bless me with this professional highest calling, the artistry that is creating these beautiful oceanfront homes, the books that we have available in the back of the room. Maybe He trusted me with a lot more than I ever deserved. But because He realized I was a responsible steward for the blessings He had given me, He continued to give me more. And then I realized, oh my goodness, to whom much is entrusted, much is expected. And so we set off with our very first Caring House Project home that we bought. Fixed up, instead of flipping, this is domestic here, not in Haiti. Bought, fixed up, and instead of selling, we rented it for $1 a month. Juanita will remember this. To elderly homeless people. Why elderly homeless people, Frank? Well, they don't live too long on the street. They die. They die pretty quick. So we picked them, and $1 a month was so they had a little bit of pride. And I actually enjoyed coming to the houses and collecting $1 a month because I learned some valuable life lessons. You might be sitting there saying, that's easy for him to say. It's easy for him to share his blessings. We all know the Bible references the 3 T's, time, talent, and treasure. Before I had any treasure, and before I had any talent, I had the time. And the time was spent at the caring kitchen serving meals out of the back of that beat-up old van, one night a week for 1 hour a night. 1 hour a week. Yes, 1 hour a week. That's what I refer to in my book, The Tap. One of life's great tap moments. God called me to figure out why it was that I was succeeding. I couldn't figure it out. I felt a little guilty. I started volunteering at the caring kitchen. Life's great tap moments, folks. I acted on that tap moment. I recognized it. I acted on it. And now, 12 years later, not only have we impacted the domestic homeless situation, but we've done a tremendous amount by building entire self-sufficient villages for the poorest country in the world. Not the Western Hemisphere, but in the world. So, today, there are some folks here in the audience that have more than just time and talent. There are some that have some treasure. I think you all are sitting on these front tables for a reason. If you feel as though you are not wealthy or rich, come to Haiti with me sometime. Back from a country where the average wage is less than $2 a day, where the infant mortality rate is 22%, below the age of 5, the average age of a Haitian citizen is 47 years. You will come back feeling like you're the richest person in the world. By the way, we're going to Haiti tomorrow with 50 donors. But for today, we're going to raise a little bit of money for the Homeless Coalition to help the people that are going out the back door. I think they figured out the front door stuff. They're doing pretty well with that. We need to help them as they go out the back door. So, what I'd like to do, you all know where I work from, right? That was probably in the video. I work from a treehouse. I've written five of my best-selling, well, all of my books I wrote from the treehouse. I designed my houses from a treehouse, an oceanfront treehouse. Some of you have been there. It's ingenuity and creativity that are rewarded in business today. It doesn't matter what the business you're in the treehouse, it pours out of my body when I'm up there. I'm able to write, I'm able to design. So I talked to Marilyn and to Pam and to Ezra, and we are going to auction off the opportunity to have lunch in my oceanfront treehouse in Delray Beach. It's still there for those of you who remember this legal battle I had. It was about 6 years long. Since Karen and Jeff are a little bit more connected to the scene than I am, you're going to help me auction. Oh boy. So what I need you to help me to do is, I think these are both on, so you can hold that. Maybe that'll be your mic. You and I can share this one. So, there's a gentleman, Maryland, by the name of Kevin, that's in the same line of work that I'm in. Lunch partner, okay. He was sitting next to Karen. Right there. Okay, well, Kevin, congratulations for sitting next to Karen. So, I was hoping this, it doesn't have to be Kevin, it'd be somebody all the way in the back at table 39, that somebody would start off what they did to have lunch in the treehouse. We'll talk real estate, we can talk charity, we can talk books, we can talk running across the desert, we can talk Haiti, we can just talk. We'll serve you lunch, you bring a guest, and it'll be a wonderful time. You want to just mention what he just said?
He said $5,000.
$5,000. Kevin with GL Homes.
He didn't know it was going to cost him in the front row.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Now, Kevin has bid $5,000. Karen, do you want to introduce, or would you identify somebody that might be able to do a little better than that? While they're thinking, is there anybody who wants to volunteer to do a little bit better than Kevin? Now, when we're doing this for our charity, $5,000 builds a whole house in Haiti. But we're doing this for the benefit of the Homeless Coalition. That will go a long way, will it not, Pam? Now we have to have some competing bids. 6,000.
Who was that?
Neil Lewis? Oh, great. Thank you, Neil. Thank you. Yay! Neil Lewis is at 6,000. Kevin's at 5,000. And the real estate market is exploding. GL Homes is cranking. I know. $7,000.
10.
People are getting back in the real estate market. Not at my level. Some of the ultra wealthy are still holding back, but you're selling money. So Kevin's at 7,000.
10.
10,000 from the cowboy laying on the ground. Wave your hat. This is, I have to say, this is Jim Whalen. He's actually traveling to Haiti with us tomorrow as a donor who built an entire home over there for $5,000. So now he's donating $10,000. Neil, back to you. You know what? We can fit 4 people up in that treehouse. It's only 220 square feet, but we can fit 4. 11,000. 11. Table for 10. The Lewis family's bidding against each other. All right, 11,000. Get you rich, Kevin? Anybody else at 11,000? 11,000 is going to go once. So how many people in the Lewis family now? Are you still bidding against each other, or are you now together?
I think that was a group effort.
That was it together, okay. So 11,000 to the Lewis family. Jim, it's back to you.
10-5.
He just went 10-5. He's smart.
What was the last bid? 11?
11.
12.
12. Okay. 12. 12 going once. 12 Lewis family. Jim's been in my treehouse. You guys have not. It's
It's a big family.
That's all right. We can do shifts. 12 going once. 12 going... Okay. 12-5.
12-5 Lewis family.
So here's what I would like to ask. You'll do 12-5. Jim, 12-5.
Yeah.
Kevin, 10. Okay. Kevin will do 10. And that was it, right? We had three bidders. Okay. So as many people in the Lewis family as we can fit, as many people from Kevin's GL home operation, and Jim, you bring your entire media staff, what have you. He's
Okay.
in the advertising agency business, so thank you very much for that. Sold to Jim, sold to Kevin, and sold to Lewis.